can't get out.
Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Oh, hello. Hey, listen, folks, I know you guys, the Oscars are on tonight? Is it the Oscars? I hope you're listening to me instead of watching the Oscars. In fact, on my Facebook page, I just saw a picture of a man at the Oscars, and he had on a black. Am I on live? Oh, okay. I hear the music. He had on a black velvet flowing gown. A man.
Yeah, it's not. That's not good.
That image goes out. The Oscars are viewed by everyone across the globe. So that's the image of black men in America wearing a long flowing velvet black gown. A man.
I don't think I have a velvet flowing blanket gown, and that gown looked really kind of like it was strange. It was really strange. But you got, hey, everybody's there. They're all hanging themselves and throwing bleach on themselves and being accosted by individuals. So hey, and then they find out there's no truth in it. So it's not fake news.
Well, I mean, there's 66 genders, right? That there's six. That's what they tell us. I mean, in fact, that's what I heard. There's 66 genders.
I thought it was just like 2.
Well, no, this is what they're talking about now. And in fact, in New York, they have a list of genders that you're supposed to check off. Some of the liberal colleges have a list of genders you're supposed to check off because you can be binary.
Binary. What is it? Binary.
Yeah, binary, and then you could also be like non-gender or something. Or maybe that's not called like that. Maybe it's called something like I don't remember. But it's like
unbelievable. It's sad. You remember the days we just got up and played in the streets? Now you got a kid riding a bicycle. He's got a half a bowling ball on his head with knee pads.
Oh, really?
This is in case he falls.
Right.
And dogs got seat belts and stuff in the car. It's like we've done good enough without, I'm like, maybe something. Hold it, Catherine. Something?
Kathleen, you did that before.
Kathleen.
Hey, listen, folks, this is the Naked Truth Report. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host, and I'm talking to Randy Johnson, the independent trucker.
Yes,
Randy Thomas. Randy Thomas, the independent trucker. This is part 2. We're doing part 2 of Bad Science Has Harmed American Workers. Part 2 with Randy Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope you guys aren't watching the Oscars. Instead, you're listening because my show is more informative than the Oscars because we don't want to spend time dealing with these freaks and geeks. These folks are the ones that said to us that Jussie Smollett was telling the truth. And all Trump supporters were racist and hate-filled bigots.
That throw bleach.
I'm a Trump supporter.
And
and
they hang a person without a knot in the rope, I guess. He came into the hospital with the rope. Was there a noose? No, just the rope. I tell you. Hey, what do you think of the new green national deal?
Well, I think it's a bad thing, obviously.
Don't you think? I think.
But that's an example of bad science.
I think that's a great thing. No cars, no planes, no trains. You're going to go to Europe on a fast bus, a fast train under the water. No electricity. Did you hear what happened? What was that? To Senator Dianne Feinstein?
Oh yeah, I heard that about the young kids accosting her in her.
Yeah, told her that she needed to get on that, and she said, "Well, it's not going to happen in 10 years, and if you think you can do a better job, why don't you just run for my position and take over from me. I don't think she was too happy with what that little kid said. But hey, I don't know, new Green Deal. But did you see the skies today?
Well, tell me about it.
Now, we had all this rain, right?
Uh-huh.
And we had literally crystal clear visibility until this morning I wake up and we can't see the mountains.
So what was that about?
Well, that's the layer of pollution that blows in here every day from the Far East, from all the equipment that we sent to China and India and other places. And we're all trying to correct that by putting people out of business here in the United States. Some of your listeners, maybe later when we open the phones up, you can bring it to their attention, what they think of that. Yesterday I looked at the skies, and you could literally see the Hollywood sign from Carson. Today, I'm going down 105, and I'm looking at the skyline, and I can't see the Angeles Crest Mountain for the haze, and that stuff comes in here every day.
Okay, well, you know what? So as I mentioned, that's Frank Thomas, Randy. No, that's Randy Thomas, who is well, he calls me Catherine, folks. What do you expect? A few people call me Catherine. I don't know. And also
I won't do that again.
Anyway, that's Randy Thomas, and we're going to talk about how bad science is harming American workers. And one example, which we have on the horizon now, is what? The new Green Deal. But talk to us, tell my listeners about, let's expand on what you were talking about last week, how bad science in Los Angeles put you out of business.
Well, if you weren't with us last week, we were lucky enough to have James Engstrom in here, who's a climatologist, professor at UCLA. And I met him after I put a article in the LA Business Journal in reference to this clean truck program had absolutely nothing to do with clean air, but it was just based on the fact that they wanted to run a large amount of independent businessmen out of business and turn them into employees. And he agreed with me wholeheartedly. And believe me, I caught hell after that deal. But apparently the Obama administration was doing the same concept all over the United States to help shore up the Teamsters Union. The Teamsters Union is running out of money, and they can't make their pensions, and they'll probably be completely out of money in 5 years if they don't get membership. So this was a ploy that he owed a favor to them. It cost the city of Los Angeles $800 million. A lot of people made money off of it, and the taxpayers ended up paying for it. Like right now, we're sitting on about $2 million, two trucks that are battery operated, and Veragosa bought them, and they sit in the port of LA because they can't use them because they can't work more than 4 hours without a 6-hour battery charge.
Now, let me explain to my listeners, why did Veragosa feel that buying those trucks was a good idea?
Probably behind the kickback that he got was,
why did he buy these trucks?
Well, the idea was the zero emissions. And somebody comes up and tells him, hey, we're manufacturing a zero emissions electric truck that's made to shuttle containers to and from the vessel. You see, a ship comes in and it docks, and that ship might have 2,800 trailers on it. So trucks have to make 2,800 trips in the yard to get them all off, and then 2,800 trips back to put them back in there. So most of the trucks that we have down there are diesel, and they've been down there like that for about the last 80, 90 years. So all of a sudden, this person comes up, we have an electric truck that has zero emissions. So he bought two. They painted them all up. If your listeners go onto Wikipedia and or Google Port of Los Angeles electric yard trucks, you'll see these two trucks there, and that's $2 million. And $2 million is nothing compared to $800 million that they spent. And the idea.
What is the other $800 million?
Well, the $800 million was the fact that they subsidized certain carriers to push us out of business. And then the finance of trucks if you qualified. So $800 million was spent, then attorney fees and this and that. But when you look at everything, it was the biggest concepts of socialism. It had nothing to do with free enterprise whatsoever. And it didn't work.
Mm-hmm. So it was basically to get the truckers at the port into a green sort of healthy environmental thing, to
Yes.
comply with environmental regulations or to clean the air. So this is what they had to spend money to make this happen.
Yes.
Is this what you're saying?
Yes, and there was a lot of angles. I think Janice Hahn, she was a senator, I think, at the time, and they wanted to get the carbon footprint in the harbor down below a certain amount. Mm-hmm. So they would get financing for a bridge that they wanted to put in the harbor. They got it down, and they're putting this bridge in. Mm-hmm. But now they realize the bridge is so steep, mm-hmm. as far as the grade of the bridge as it goes up. The trucks that they want to have work the harbor for zero emissions, mm-hmm. can't pull a load over this bridge they built.
Mm-hmm. Now, give us the time frame that this took place, when this transition into like healthy trucks in the port. When did this transition take place?
We started hearing a rumble of it in the latter part of 2007. Uh-huh. By 2008, they were telling us that we had to sign a concession and purchase this concession. Now, first, the concession was going to cost the trucking companies $100,000 mm-hmm. to have this concession. Mm-hmm. Then the reality finally set in. So in Los Angeles, they charged us $2,500 to operate. Once you bought the concession, you could operate for 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. After that, you were to purchase trucks that supposedly had a diesel particulation filter fit on them. Mm-hmm. Now, there's hundreds of diesel particulation filters, which basically is a muffler. You know, you see your car, you have a filter, you have a catalytic converter, you have a catalytic converter on your car, then you also have a muffler. Well, this diesel particulation unit was similar to the same concept. It came behind the engine's turbocharger and captured the exhaust. And it captured the exhaust, and it ran it through a 2 milligram size screen, mm-hmm. catching the large soot and carbon particulations. Okay, as far as carbon dioxide, it came right on through. When one side of it was monitored, one side of the exit side would build pressure. Then it sent a signal to push raw fuel down into this thing, mm-hmm. and you were to let the engine idle at a high RPM and burn all that off and put it back in the air anyway. Mm-hmm. So that the filter actually put whatever you caught mm-hmm. back into the air, mm-hmm. but you didn't see the black soot, the dark parts of that. And then so this unit was like we said last, it wasn't proven, mild steel. Quite a few trucks caught on fire. Quite a few trucks now. You'll get up in the morning and you'll hear news reports. Hey, we got a truck on fire on I-14, and mm-hmm. we got a truck on the I-5 at the 138. They catch on fire because it's monitoring this exhaust. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, you burnt the fuel, you went into the exhaust, up through the stacks, and on down the highway we went. That's bad. So now, after 2 years of trucks burning up, the engine manufacturers come up with, we'll use urea. Now, urea is basically a concept of mammal urine, horse and cow urine. Are you with me? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got horse pee in the truck. Mm-hmm. Those of you, if you're on the highway now, or you're gonna go, you look at the truck and you see a truck that's got a blue cap, mm-hmm. and a little bitty tank has a blue cap, and there's a smaller tank that sits on there. That's a urea tank. They call it DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. Mm-hmm. And they put that in there. They pump that at the back side of the turbo, and it goes into a chamber. And that is supposedly cuts the carbon dioxide down. Okay, but what we're noticing here, if you go to YouTube and you type in DEF replaced by water, a lot of truckers are just putting regular tap water in their tank and the trucks are running fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, you just paid $45,000 extra for this urea,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a series of sensors on it. And you're out. Like for instance, in the early days when they came on, if you didn't have enough urea, it put the truck into a limp mode, and the truck would only travel 25 miles an hour until you got to a location where they sold this diesel particulate, and you put it in there. Then it cleared it, and it went back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're putting regular tap water in them. Putting regular tap water, all the lights go off, and the trucks run down the road with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that wants to look at that, go to your YouTube, type that in, and look at what they've done. And then CARB, at the end of it, CARB says, well, if we continue the way we're going to go back to those standards, we didn't have any problem with the standards. All of this stuff, like you said, is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a lie.
It's bad science.
Bad science with an agenda. And
bad science with an agenda.
Mm-hmm. And the agenda is, if you're not a part of the good old boy deal, or you can't afford it, you're out of business.
We're gonna put you out of business. And they put Randy Thomas out of business. We talked about it last week. You can hear our show. You can go to my YouTube channel. Hey, folks. Hey, listeners out there. Why don't you please go to my YouTube channel, the Naked Truth Report YouTube channel, and subscribe to that channel. And you can also see the interview that we conducted last week with Randy Thomas and Jen Instrom, who told us the science. Jim Instrom is a scientist, and he knows the science, and he knows that this is bad science. And this is what bad science is putting American workers out of work. And this is what they're, so you take this microcosm, or this how do I want to say, this subset. Los Angeles is a subset of America. So you take this subset of what is going on with truckers, diesel truckers, who had a business, independent truckers who had a business at the LA port. They've been put out of business because their trucks were not had not complied with the regulations, CARB regulations.
And when we look at that, and you say, well, I guess you can't work your truck at all. Oh no, you could send a clean truck into the harbor and pick up a trailer, pull it outside the gate, and drop it, and have an old truck hook onto it, mm-hmm. and take it to the destination. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to fine you if you do that. Mm-hmm. When it started, you had some of these guys that had more money than poor little black companies, mm-hmm. bought one or two clean trucks, and they would just go in the gate with the truck. It had an RFID tag on the thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Pick up the load, pull it out, and drop it, and then have a regular truck make the delivery.
Right.
They did that for 3 or 4 years, and then Chris Cannon, and this Gantz. Oh, we're gonna petition the police department to cite you for using a dirty truck to pull a load. Anything to scare you.
Anything to get American workers not working.
And then most of the guys that were down there doing that stuff weren't American workers anyway.
Really?
Yeah, they was no habla English.
Uh-huh.
Like I told you, you had a lot of companies showed up with brand new trucks. Nobody spoke English. A lot of money. Well, what's going on here?
You know how that happened. El Chapo.
More than likely El Chapo and the triads, because what's the number one thing going now is the Chinese freight forwarders.
Yeah.
And Vietnamese freight forwarders created their own trucking within the family. Mm-hmm. We're bringing in 5,000 loads of goods into Los Angeles every year. Mm-hmm. Why don't we get our cousin Chong, and let's get him some money from the Bank of Hong Kong, mm-hmm. to buy 10 or 12 of these trucks, and he'll get down there and get some of these guys green cards, and they'll pay them $10 an hour, and we'll haul our freight ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that is going on to right now. And mm-hmm. some of these guys were, in some cases, we had a few of them that were ran out of business by the Teamsters Union, because they told them that they were misclassified. And I noticed that what's her name, Clinton,
Hillary.
Yeah. She has that concept. It spews out of her mouth. It spews out with Lyft. It spews out with Uber, mm-hmm. and the trucking companies. Well, they made them buy their own trucks, and they're misclassified.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you come here and I want to buy. I'm a truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Yeah. What do you got? Well, you can drive for it. You can drive our truck. We paid at that time maybe $10 or $12 an hour. So you're driving a truck and you're okay. I need more money. Well, why don't you buy a truck? Why don't you lease this truck from us? And then after a contract is done, the truck is yours. Now, this is a catch-22 on that. Some of the guys did really good.
Mm-hmm.
You are making $2,500. You all of a sudden you went from making $900 a week to $2,700 a week,
Mm-hmm.
but you're misclassified because you can't run that truck for any other trucking company but the one that you're buying it for. But you're still an employee, and they're not paying your workman's compensation. They're not taking the after taxes out of it. They got you on a 1099. And see, that's one of the sad realities of the trucking industry, the 1099. You can make a lot of money with a 1099 because you're working at a percentage of what the load pays. The load pays $1,000. We're going to give you 80%. That's $800. Load's done. You want another one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Load's done. You made $1,600. I need one more. Make $2,400.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong. That's misclassification because they were actually employees. And they've sued and successfully destroyed much larger trucking companies than me. California Cartage Company is being put out of business behind misclassification. I mean, we're talking about, I was in business 45 years. Cal Cartage, I worked for them in 1967. They had been around since the 47. They're gone behind misclassification. So So
when they're misclassified, they fine them for that?
Yeah, because you're in violation of California
labor laws.
New labor laws that have just been put in place.
New labor laws, yeah.
So
it's like, Trump is right. It's like they're working against us. They're working against the American people, folks. And the question is why?
Well, I went in business at an early age. I was 20 when I went in, and I never seen, for somebody who lives in Watts, buys a truck and doing the right thing, I'd never seen so much harassment. My street, I bought one truck. A lot of times I did one truck, put it in the driveway, I'm working on it. Police car pulls up there. Hey, when you gonna move it? How you guys doing? And when you gonna move it? I'll put it in the driveway there. Hey, you can't park this down here or that. 10 doors down, they're selling crack. And I asked them, I said, hey man, they selling crack right down the street, all them people running in and out of there. How come you guys ain't sweating them? Why are you messing with us? And we here changing exhaust pipe on this Freightliner. You see the tools here.
I don't like the way that sounds at all.
Well,
it's like intentionally stopping black men from being legit, earning money, gaining wealth. It's this intentional.
Oh, it was intentional.
Yeah, I don't like the way that sounds. And we know it's going down because look at the results.
Oh, yeah. The results is right now is none of us in that area have got those trucks anymore. Right. We're all out of business or either have died.
Right. Anyway, I hear my music. We're going to go to a break and we'll be right. This is Kathleen Wells, the Naked Truth Report. And I'm sitting with Randy Thomas, who is a trucker. He was an independent trucker until he was run out of business by the regulations in Los Angeles. He was an independent trucker for how many years, Randy?
43 years.
43 years. He's an independent trucker. He made a good living doing that too, right?
Yes, send my kids to decent schools.
Sounds good to me. We'll be right back. This is a Naked Truth Report. I'll be right back. How do you like that music? Is it groovy? Anyway, we're here with Randy Thomas, independent trucker who's been in business for 45 years, and he was finally put out of business by the regulations that California, that Los Angeles imposed upon him. It took him out of business. This is a microcosm of what will happen to the American workers if the new Green Deal plan goes through.
Oh,
right? Am I right?
Unbelievable. When I heard that, I had to pull over. I mean, I said, it's no way in the world. But the point of it is, as individuals, we're so ignorant to what we have around us. Most of us don't realize where electricity comes from. Mm-hmm. If you was to ask the average person, why is that light shining up there? Where does that come from? They'd have no idea. Mm-hmm. You go to the wall and turn the switch on. It's the same thing with water. Mm-hmm. You know, most people don't realize we have gigantic aquifers under Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Millions of gallons of water that they pull up, and you drive past these pump locations and you never know what's that thing is there. Mm-hmm. That's just like, here in LA, we have hundreds of Thomas Edison generators mm-hmm. that we don't use in case these lights do go out. Mm-hmm. They're in big brick buildings all over Los Angeles. It's a Department of Water and Power on mm-hmm. them. And luckily we don't start them up that much because but right now, when you're looking at as many people and how jobs are being lost in America, and everything is going to be green. Mm-hmm. The new Green Deal, we're not going to say, hold it. We're not going to have any cars, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And there'll be no airplanes.
Well, I mean, we'll have cars, but they'll have to be refined. They will have to be electric cars, like, how your trucks had to be revamped. You had to get a new truck that complied with the regulations.
But we're finding out now from them apologizing that that's not working, because the new trucks that they got, like I stated, they're building a bridge down in the port of Long Beach that's connecting Terminal Island to downtown Long Beach. The bridge is so steep, the new trucks that they wanted us to get cannot drive over the bridge. Mm-hmm. Now we spent $800 million for this boondoggle, and now we can't even use the bridge because the trucks aren't powerful enough to go over the bridge. Well,
the question is, what have Democrats done that have ever worked? What have Democrats ever accomplished? We spent $3.2 trillion on LBJ's Great Society and welfare program, poverty programs, and we've got more poor folks than before. So tell me, you were telling me at the break about how when you were hauling in Texas.
Oh, yeah. As in the 70s, the trucking situation was very romantic in the inner city, because it was, guys wanted to go to work and do the right thing. Mm-hmm. So by about 1975, I was doing work for Calavo growers, the Calavo Association, mm-hmm. bringing kiwi fruit in from mm-hmm. New Zealand. Mm-hmm. So we see that we're moving a large amount of avocados mm-hmm. going across the United States, and they needed all of a sudden the state of Texas just needed about 30%, 40% more avocados than they had before. Mm-hmm. So I picked up 3 more trucks and refrigerated trailers, and I started an operation called Super Cool Refrigeration Service. And we had fun. We would pull these avocados and we start making deliveries in Midland, Texas. Then we'd finish out in Houston. Then at that time, I was hauling for a plastic baron called Camco Plastics. They were located right down in South Central. And we had dozens of loads of plastic, used polyurethane to come back in. But at that time, we hadn't had regulation, deregulations hadn't came in. So you had to be a ICC carrier to bring these manufactured goods back. So we snuck them back into here. I mean, I'm putting people to work. We would get caught in New Mexico. It said, oh, that's one of those super cool trucks. Pull him over. They come out, open the back doors up. Let's see your bill of lading. You got plastic in here. That's $200 fine. Give me that money. Okay, now what? Now you can go. You're paid to come back in here. You're paid $200. I don't know what's going to happen to you when you get into Arizona, but you owe us $200. This is how the state would just And the other guys that didn't look like me, down the road.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's this oppressiveness that I don't like.
Oh,
It's constant.
They used to wear us out there just working on our trucks in the neighborhood.
Right.
You know, you got a crack house going down the next block, and you're out there changing the oil or doing something in front of your house, and your kids are there helping you. It's a family operation. You have the cab of the truck jacked over, the toolbox is out, you got a bucket of KFC, you're having fun. Police car pulls up. Well, you know you're not supposed to have that truck here. Hey, just changing the oil, officer. You know I could cite you for that. And a lot of times they would cite us for it. It's too heavy to be on the street. Mm-hmm. But it's okay to sell crack down the street. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, hey, that was the 70s. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, hi, Linda. Let's take a call from Linda. Hi, Linda. She's my regular caller. Hi, Linda. How you doing?
Okay. I have a suggestion for Randy first.
Okay.
Why don't you and a bunch of other men, and people go and protest over like at the mayor's mansion and the governor's mansion, like the Yellow Vests in France have, with the exception of, vandalizing people's cars and stuff like that.
Well, we did. We shut down the streets in Los Angeles in 2009. We had about 1,500 trucks left from the Port of Los Angeles and went to City Hall. And Circle City Hall, the attorneys that heard our plea would not go up against the $800 million that the city of LA was ready to spend to put us out of business. It was as simple as that. We have more money, we will outspend you, because they knew more than we did. Now, this $150,000 truck that you bought won't start up, and you can't use it at all, and you can't sell it. So what they're telling these individuals that bought this clean equipment, you give us that truck back, and we'll give you a voucher for $100,000, and you agree to buy a natural gas truck. See, these trucks that they wanted us to buy were LNG, liquefied natural gas. And LNG at that time
now they don't want natural gas.
Huh?
Well, now they don't want natural gas.
No, now they want us to go natural gas.
No, she said now they don't want natural gas.
Well, then but
they want electric.
They want electric.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is an electric truck is going to cost you, well, right now, the only electric truck that might even think about working is Elon Musk's truck. That truck weighs 25,000 pounds. So it can't haul but a load that would weigh less than 30,000 pounds. Mm-hmm. And the average container for the goods that we have coming from China is 45,000 pounds of freight inside that. So when that truck hit the highway, it would be right at about 10,000 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. And it would only be able to work about 8 hours. And it would take about 8 hours to charge it back up. So that can't work. Every one of these cockamamie schemes is not working.
Everything's a cockamamie scheme.
The way I see this is like Rahm Emanuel's playbook. Never let a good crisis go to waste. In this case, there are other stuff the government do to create, the environment, the way it is. The government creates chemtrails. The government allows driver's license for illegal aliens to allow more cars on the road. There's also a national entity called HAARP, HAARP. I hear they control the weather and stuff like that.
You're going to go there? Did I hear HAARP?
HAARP.
Yeah, tell us about HAARP.
I hear that HAARP, controls, they can control the weather with HAARP. That's what I heard about HAARP. There's other stuff. I don't recall the other stuff about HAARP, but it's like, everyone in the state government and the city of Los Angeles, they all know about HAARP. They know about chemtrails, and they allow driver's license for illegal aliens. They know about everything that creates the problem. They create the problem with that. But they want to blame not just truckers, but people driving.
Right.
Gas cars.
Thank you, Linda. Let's take a call now from Michael. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hey, baby. How you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I like your guest here. He had his own business in 1975. Shit, he's older than I am.
Yes. I started the business in 1971. I was like 20 years old. And I worked for Global Van Lines during the Vietnam conflict, and they also assisted in Air America movements across the United States and across the world. So, but the reality of it is old guys like me are being forced out behind this insanity, and it's only getting worse. And luckily, this president we've got, he says he wants the trucks to run. If it was his move, we would just pull our old trucks back out and go to work like we used to. But now all of a sudden we've got CARB, and we've got the EPA, and we've got all this clean this and clean that, and we have a crisis in America right now. We're 250,000 drivers short because individuals don't want to have anything to do with it. So if this continues, a head of lettuce is going to cost you about $5 in New York in about another 2 or 3 months.
Okay, let's take a call from Dave. And hi, Dave. Welcome to the Naked. You're one of my regular callers. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Kathleen. Hey, thank you for your guest. This Green New Deal, as we all see, is totally wacko. It's totally Soviet. We had another talk show host, literally, when he was analyzing it with an official over the air, literally identified some of it as Soviet. And I'm telling you, this thing, yes, did you hear this? These little kids went to San Francisco and protested Feinstein, and it's like they're using I'm not going to call these little kids brown shirts. No, I'm saying they're being used as propaganda. And these little voices you hear, we want the Green New Deal, and she's saying, well, you're coming here and saying, it's either your way or my way, and I just don't do things that way. It's hilarious.
Oh, when the kids went into Dianne Feinstein.
Gosh, it was crazy. And it's just, look, folks, I want you to go to yourpoliticalwings.com, and I will show you how we can get these people out. It's going to take money. We really, and volunteerism. Folks, we got to change it, because if we can't allow this narrative to keep going on. And thank you for your guest.
Oh, thank you, Dave. What's the website again?
Okay, it's called Your Political Wings, like in airplane wings, .com, and I will show you how we can do this. And folks, look, we can do it. Rush Limbaugh said a couple of years ago, and don't forget this, people, the Democrats are winning in California because there is no pushback. And there was some assemblyman is pushing some whack-a-do thing, a bill, and he said, well, we haven't gotten any pushback from all. So John and Ken got on it, and you go to their website. It's called Operation Pushback. Operation Pushback.
Okay.
So we got to push back.
We got to push back.
Once we do.
We got to push back. And, we need to advertise. We need to get more people to know about Randy's story.
Well, the problem that we look at, and not so much with my story, is the story of anybody who wants to start a business from ground zero. You can't, right now, you can't open up a barbecue pit down in the hood unless you got a $5,000 filter machine sitting on the roof of it. That's not the way. That's not the way our ancestors started business. Mm-hmm. So people have no interest in doing it. Mm-hmm. I have 700 jobs starting at $60,000, and we've got hardly any takers to that degree. Mm-hmm. Now, last night I was reading that this company that I was telling you about, that's doing the hiring, Swift, mm-hmm. is sending the drivers can get an associate's degree on the internet, mm-hmm. and they're paying for it and supplying the laptops while they're driving the truck. Mm-hmm. It's that desperate. Our supply chains in America have to roll. You have foods, you have produce, you have meat. It has to go. I was sitting there listening to de Blasio in New York talking about how they put a ban on trucks in that bad weather last week, was going to cite them. Mm-hmm. Every one of the trucks they pulled over had meat that needed to be delivered to the people to eat. So you got government on 1 minute is getting ready to write you a ticket because you're running. You could be dangerous. You could jackknife on the George Washington Bridge, and they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. But at least Brooklyn got ground beef. Mm-hmm. So how do we measure the sanity here? In this global warming, right? It didn't look too warm in New York last week. Mm-hmm. It wasn't too warm.
Well, I mean, that's why they call it climate change now.
Oh, climate change?
Yeah, it's not global warming anymore. It's climate change. It doesn't mean that it's getting warmer. This is what they say. I don't know. I saw an article about, there are scientists that disagree with what they're saying.
There's truck drivers that disagree with it.
Yeah, and this is why we cannot believe the question I have for my listeners is, what have the Democrats done that has been successful? So we went from LBJ's Great Society to now this Green Deal, the new Green Deal. Mm-hmm. And in between that, Black America is at the bottom.
Black America is desperately sinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, with this sink, there's no place to swim. I mean, it's anyway, that's a whole nother series of problems that we have to, you have 700 jobs and you have liquor stores, weed shops, and churches. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I can't drive for you because I got to be at church Sunday. Mm-hmm. No, it's going to take you 7 days to get in here. This move, it's going to pay you $1,500. You can get this done in 4 days. You can't drive because you're DUIs. You can't drive because you're smoking weed. Where do we get these individuals to just do the right thing and be productive citizens in America? Mm-hmm. What do we do?
So we're looking for. So if you'd like to be a trucker, Randy, it's name the Swift
Transportation. Mm-hmm. You got 700 jobs in there.
They have 700 jobs for truckers.
Starting them at your starting salary will be about $55,000 to $60,000.
Okay, if anyone is looking for a job as a trucker, I'll put the number. Do you know the number offhand?
Yeah, I do. I have it right here in my magical phone here somewhere.
Yeah, and I'll also put it on my YouTube channel so that if you're looking for a job as a trucker, call this number. They'll train you. Is that correct?
Right. They'll train you. They'll pay you for your training. And it'll be a complete new life set. I did it, and it made me a whole new person. Lost my afro, but my wallet got really fat. Mm-hmm. One of the things, it's all of America is hurting for drivers. I mean, and that the Obama administration just literally shuts up when they bring this up. We had James Watts. Remember James Watts? He was the Department of Transportation, and he did more. I mean, we have logbook problems, violations of this, that, and the other, and it's like, it never ends. Mm. It never ends.
So we don't want to go with more. We don't want to go with more regulations. We don't want to go with the new Green Deal because this is an example of how they run you out of business. How Los Angeles independent truckers were run out of business by regulations. So this is what the new Green Deal will do.
Oh, yeah.
It will shut down American workers. It will shut us down. And for some reason, this Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in other words, what I'm trying to say, it's a con, folks. It's just for people, the politicians, to make extra money. And the bureaucrats, they're going to be pocketing. They get rich off of the back of the American worker.
Yes. Hold on, I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah. Anyway, if we don't have the number yet, you know what we'll do? We'll put it down. It's Swift International. It's Swift.
Swift Transportation.
Swift Transportation.
Here's the number right here. The number is 951-968 3513.
Say it again.
951-968-3513.
Okay.
Give them a call, and you'll do a lightweight interview. You can do the other interview on the phone. And if you want to change your life to where you're never worrying about a job.
Okay, thanks. We got to go. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Call that number, and I'll also have it on my YouTube channel. Also, hey, folks, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. Please do it. Go to the Naked Truth Report YouTube channel and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.